And welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So halfway, half light, half dark, like the moon, dark side of the moon right here. And this is what we see sometime. So what do we have? We have a little article here where Mr. Medvedev, the former president of the Russian Federation, has some good words again for Russia's friends, Poland. Oh, okay. Sorry for you guys, but he's at it again. So let's get it started. Ukrainska Pravda. Medvedev is again drawn to threaten Poland. I think he's just going to make some statements. I don't think he threatens, but but we'll see. Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council and former president, on Thursday posted an 8,000-word rant about Polish-Russian relations, calling Warsaw, and I'm quoting, a dangerous enemy of Moscow and threatening it with the loss of statehood. Yeah, I think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be maybe damaged, but I don't think it's going to lose its statehood. The Poles are arming, aside from Ukraine, Poland arms the most in the area. Not even Russia arms itself as Poland is arming itself. As I said, is Ukraine that money come in and military weapon and so on, but like Poland, in peaceful time, there's no other country arming itself as Poland. So let's see what else this guy has to say. Details. The article by the former president of the Russian Federation repeats Russian propaganda cliches, for instance, about Poland's quote-unquote claims to Western Ukrainian lands. Go and ask the Poles, and if the Poles have no balls, they will tell you, no, we don't have anything. No, we're friends with the Ukrainians. We don't want Lutsk and Lviv or Lvov whatsoever, my friends. That is the same thing as my friends Hungarians think about Transylvania. It's the same thing as other countries think of other territories. That's the way it is. The Hungarians think about the Zakarpattia in Ukraine. I mean, that's the way it is. But these guys are using propaganda to tell us that no, actually the Poles don't want that. The Poles, I suspect, when the Ukrainian front will fall and the Russians are going to move westward, I predict the Poles will enter right this side, right here. So this is Poland. They're going to enter right here, and they're going to take Lutsk, Lvov, and maybe more. And they will claim the right of protection. They will protect their minority living in Ukraine, in this area. But hey, when the Russians entered here to protect their minority, that was unacceptable. You'll see the Poles will do that, and they will enter under the reason of protection. Well, good for them. If they can do it, why not? But to tell me they don't have that in mind, that's idiotic. Now, with that idiot Tusk that going to become the prime minister, president, I think right now. I don't know exactly what position he's going to take. I think prime minister, but who knows? He was before. And if you watch a video on YouTube, you're going to see Putin, how he mops the floor with him regarding the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. And just watch that. When Putin visited Poland as the prime minister. So anyway, I mean, he didn't attack Tusk, I think Donald Tusk. He attacks a journalist that raises the question, and he's gonna smack her in front of everybody else. Intellectually, I'm talking smack, because idiots are gonna think I'm saying something else. So anyway, let's see what's going on here. Medvedev also writes about the EU's hatred of Poland and the Poles' disdain for Ukrainians. Okay. But separately focuses on Russia's attitude towards Warsaw. And I'm quoting Medvedev. In the 21st century, Russia has a dangerous enemy in Eastern Europe that was revived in the person of Poland, and it should be treated exactly as a historical enemy. They are historical enemies, and not only Poland is a historical enemy with everybody around. And many countries in Europe are like that. Why? Because they have a long history and they switch territories. I take your territory today, I'm going to rape all the population and kill your ancestors. And then when you take over, you do the same thing to my ancestors. That's the way it was. History is there. Now, if you're a tard, you're going to forget about those things. If you're a human being, you can say, wait a minute. You killed my grandfather. You raped my grandmother. Blah, 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 blah. You're not going to forget that or forgive. But it's you. As a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Like what's going on right now in Ukraine or in Israel. Yeah, but those guys are not Christians, so what are we going to do about it? Be careful. Be careful. So it should be treated exactly as a historical enemy, consisting that it is, in principle, incorrigible. And if there is no hope of reconciliation with the enemy, Russia should only have one and a very rigid attitude towards his fate. All right. Medvedev explained the transformation of Poland into an enemy of Russia through, and I'm quoting, Russophobic revisionist policy, while at the same time recalling how, at the end of the 18th century, the Russian Empire took part in the dismemberment of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Well, don't look at Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth as a victim, because if you look over the map, and I'm not going to do it here, I did in many other, maybe 2 or 3 other videos, you're going to realize that that Commonwealth took over other countries, other people, not countries necessarily, but people. All right, you can look. Poland had, I think at that time, Lithuanian Polish Commonwealth had access to the Black Sea. So let me show you. So Poland from here had access to the Black Sea. So all this thing right here, cut it like this, and that belonged to Poland and this area around this, because this was Moldova and around Moldova part of. So they got whatever was in between here, Ukrainians if you want, Russians if you want, Hungarian if you want, Romanians, whatever they were, they got to here. So they were not the victims. Remember, Polish troops got to Moscow at one point. I think they had a little guy over there that the Russians at one point sent him back with a cannon. They cut him to pieces, put him in a cannon, and shoot it towards Warsaw. Look into that one. So these guys are not really very friendly to one another. I can't remember who that guy was, but look into history. The guy that the Russians eventually cut to pieces, I think he became a Tsar or something, or a very important person in the Russian administration in Moscow. And the Russians eventually cut him off, literally, put him in a cannon, pieces, okay, psst, boom, and spread him towards Warsaw. Well, this is, how should I put it, human nature. And if you think that your ancestors are, how do you call it, or our ancestors are nice like flowers, well, gotta read history and you're gonna realize BS. So okay, let's go back to the Medvedev killer and see what he has to say. So here we have, so don't cry for Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It had a lot of other nations they were oppressing, okay? They were oppressed by these guys. So just look into history. Now, obviously, Poland and Lithuania, that's the problem. They still think about those good old days, but those good old days were like the colonial powers in Europe, good old days in Europe, in Africa, for instance, and not only. That's the good old days. So if you know history, you know, it shouldn't hurt you. You just, well, it was. Let's see what we do in the future, how we do it better. Well, we know how these guys want to do it better. Look what's happening in Ukraine. And I'm quoting, history has delivered a merciless verdict to the insolent Poles more than once, no matter how ambitious the revanchist plans are. Their defeat can lead to the death of the entire Polish statehood. Will we then mourn the collapse of modern Polish statehood? Question mark. There is no need to deceive. There can only be one answer. Definitely not, concludes Medvedev. So what he says, He says, these guys, wait, I don't have anything against Poland. Got it? I don't. But I can't just stand and say that the Poles were the saints. No, because as a Romanian-born human being, I read history and I know how the Poles attack the Moldovans, the Romanians. Just look in history. So I know that those guys came towards us and it was not us coming towards them. So that's a fact. And now you get the Lithuanian-Polish Commonwealth as, oh my God, yeah, that's exactly what they did. They took over other nations and they didn't take and bring, democracy, freedom like United States brought to Iraq. All right, it's just, plundering. That's what they did. So don't cry me a river here. So regarding that one, in I think it was 1794 or something like that, Poland was dismembered because it wanted to bring back the Commonwealth, the blah, blah, blah. Dismembered. It did not exist as Poland until the end of the First World War, 1918, when it was again put together. And it was put together by given lands from Germany, Prussia, which was Germany, East Prussia, given to them, Danzig, Gdansk. And not only, it was built as a big Poland. And then Germany said, wait a minute, you, Germany being Adolf, said, hey, you got our lands, we need them back, or at least give us the Gdansk corridor. And the Poles, with the help of the British and the French, which wanted to destroy these guys, said, you know what, Poland, you don't have to do anything. Which Poland said, no, I'm not going to do anything. And these guys gave him an ultimatum, and then in September 1st, 1939, invaded and took half. And then the Soviets, poof, took the other half. So yes, not the Russians, the Soviets. You can say the Russians, well, who was in charge? Trotsky? I'm talking about Second World War, Jesus Christ. It was the Soviets, it was Stalin. Okay? Because I was thinking about the First World War. It was the Second World War, my friends. It was Stalin, he was a Gruzin, he was a Georgian. So anyway, so then they almost lost their shit in the Second World War, right? When the Germans came and the Soviets came. And now again, the Poles are trying to, they issued a bill of $1.3 trillion to Germany for World War II reparations. They armed themselves with the American weapons because Poland is the US Trojan horse in Europe. They support Ukraine not because they love the Ukrainians, but the Ukrainians fight my enemy, which is Russia, and they hope these guys are dismembering somehow. And remember, Poland made some comments about Russia as well as being broken. And they will take those Ukrainian, which I don't think they're Ukrainian whatsoever, if you ask me, and if you didn't ask me, I will tell you nevertheless. Those are not Ukrainian territories. Why? Ukraine looked at Ukraine, almost everything it got from someone else. Be it Hungary, being Romania, being Slovakia, being Poland, Russia, all its territories were taken from some or given by Soviet Union at one point, because Ukraine did not conquer anybody. That's very strange. Ukraine got a country without conquering, but it was given for political reasons by Stalin. That's how Ukraine came to be like, and not only Stalin, then it was given by Khrushchev, right, in 1954 or 56, when he gave Crimea to Ukraine. Until then, Crimea was not Ukrainian. It was given just like that for political reasons, for commanding control of the nations surrounding and being on that. Why? Because they flooded Ukraine with Romanians, Poles, all kind of others, Tatars from Crimea and so on. So they are not homogeneous, or they're strong like the Americans, because we know that diversity is our strength. All right. So BS. Anyway, my friends, he threatened. He said, well, this is what these guys are trying to do, Medvedev. According to Medvedev, this is what the Poles are trying to do, and they take a chance again, as they did in the past. And he's afraid that they're going to be smacked. And he said, will I cry about it? Absolutely not. Well, you consider that a threat? Well, throw the first rock or cast the first rock. Basically what Medvedev. I'm not defending Medvedev. I mean, he's a big boy. He's in charge of something. I'm not, but I don't have to defend him whatsoever. But he just makes a point. The Poles have, I think, as he said, revisionist attitudes, and they will take care of it. They will take care of it. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.